Beautiful people, welcome to Mose Knows. I'm your host, Mose. Today, we will continue handing out draft grades for the 2021 NFL Draft. In this episode, we are focusing on the NFC East. In this new series, we are going division by division. We're going through each team in each division. We're taking a look at their draft, what they were able to accomplish, and we're handing out draft grades. Yes, I have on a backwards cap, but just think this is a 2021 commencement ceremony, and I am all in my gown with my cap on. I am Professor Mose, and we handing out grades today. So let's jump right in. We're going to focus on the first team in this division, which is the Philadelphia Eagles, the bane of my existence. I'm just playing. I love Eagles fans. All right, let's take a look at what we were able to do here. Petty. Eagles are petty. Eagles are so petty. Why did they have to trade in front of the Giants and then to do it with the Cowboys, make a trade with the Cowboys to jump in front of the Giants to take Devontae Smith? I think they had inside knowledge. I think that they knew the Giants were going to go Devontae Smith. They wanted to add another wide receiver. They've been adding offensive weapons all offseason because of the injuries that they sustained in 2020. So they knew they had to jump the Giants, being super petty. But they made a move, jumped up to 10 to get their guy Devontae Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama. In the second round, they take Landon Dickerson, center out of Alabama. So they go Bama. First round, second round. Third round pick, they take Milton Williams, defensive tackle out of Louisiana Tech. Fourth round pick, they take Zach McPherson, corner out of Texas Tech. Fifth round, they take Kenneth Gainwell, running back out of Memphis. 3 sixth-round picks. We just gonna go Marlon Tuipulotu. I'm gonna get that right. Marlon Tuipulotu, defensive tackle out of USC. Teron Jackson with the second sixth-round pick out of Coastal Carolina. And Jacoby Stevens, safety out of LSU, with that third sixth-round pick. And then pulling up the rear is Patrick Johnson, outside linebacker out of Tulane. So let's kind of take a look at this. Devontae Smith, we know what type of wide receiver he is. We know he's dynamic. We know he has speed. We know he's the Heisman winner. So he comes with pedigree. I think it's a position of need for the Eagles. I think they needed to attack that position. A lot of comps to Devontae Smith has been Deshaun Jackson because he's a smaller wide receiver with speed. I think Devontae Smith may be a little bit more polished as a route runner than Deshaun Jackson is and was when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles. So he brings benefit there. I just want to make sure that he's able to stand up to NFL caliber talent, NFL caliber defenses, and hold up with that body frame. For me, the second round pick, Landon Dickerson, that was a head scratcher. You already have a center in Jason Kelce. Yes, he's getting up there in age. I believe he's 33 years old. But usually offensive linemen play till about 35, 36, 37. I think Andrew Whitworth is still in the league. He may be 37, 38. Offensive linemen can play for a long time. I know that Jason Kelce was kind of up in the air if he would return this season or not. So I understand having an insurance policy, but you draft Landon Dickerson in the second round. And unless you move him to guard, he's going to be sitting on the bench at least for a year. So I think you could have attacked another position there. Third and fourth round picks, Milton Williams and Zach McPherson. Wasn't really too excited about either one of those picks. Not sure how much Milton Williams is going to be able to come in and contribute right away. Obviously, he's going to be a big piece as far as rotation and keeping guys in front of him fresh. But I don't know how much he's going to give you in the reps that he is on the field. Zach McPherson, I think there were other cornerbacks rated a little bit higher than him. Obviously, Philly liked what they saw when it comes to McPherson, but I think you could have found a better talent with that fourth round pick. Getting to the 5th round, I do like the Kenneth Gainwell pick. I think he's a really, really solid running back in the late rounds. Kind of knew he would go in this 4 to 6 round range. Eagles snag him in the 5th. I think he can come in and be a perfect complement to Miles Sanders with what he's able to do in the backfield, as well as his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and be a receiving back. I think he offers tremendous value there. And then of the later round picks, 6 and 7, I think the biggest one that I'm a fan of is Teron Jackson out of Coastal Carolina. This kid's motor is non-stop. He's going to come in right away as a rotational pass rusher for that Eagles defensive line, which we know is the heart and soul of that defense. And he's going to be able to contribute right away, I feel. Now, he's not going to get you, 10 plus sacks. But if you can get Teron Jackson to come in and be a force on third downs, give you that substitutional pass rusher and get you anywhere between 6 and 8 sacks, I think that's a solid rookie year for him. And I think he can do it with all of the other pieces that are on that defensive line that are going to command attention. He's not going to see double teams. He's not going to see a lot of chips and, assistance for tackles from a tight end. That's going to fall to the Fletcher Coxes, the Derek Barnett's. Teron Jackson isn't going to see that. So he has an opportunity to do well. So I like Devontae Smith. I like Kenneth Gainwell. I like Teron Jackson. But I think with a lot of those other picks, the Eagles could have did a lot more to address needs and really get better. And I don't see them as doing that. So Eagles fans probably going to chew me out. Some of them. I know some of them probably agree with me. I know they weren't happy with this draft at all. So I have to give the Eagles a C. My grade is going to come down as a C for the Eagles. I think they could have just did a little bit better. Let's move to the next team in the NFC East, and that's going to be the Washington football team. This team, set themselves up for success. It's amazing what they were able to do last year. That defense has really, really stepped up, especially with the addition of Chase Young. You can never go wrong adding such a talented athlete, specimen, defensive whiz like Chase Young. And I think he's only going to get better. And I think this defense is only going to get better based on what they were able to do in the draft. The first round pick, number 19, they take Jamin Davis out of Kentucky. 6'4", 235 pounds. He's sideline to sideline. He can blitz. He can tackle. He can drop in the coverage. He ran a 4.4. This guy can do everything. I think that was the weak spot of this particular defense. We all know that defensive line is solid. We all know that the secondary had improved. I think the weakness was the linebacker core, and you add a guy like Jamin Davis to that defense, and now we have playmakers at every single level. Love the pick. Second round, Washington took Sam Cosmi, tackle out of Texas. I think this is a great pick. They needed to add talent on that offensive line. They needed to figure out who was going to be filling in that right tackle spot. I believe Morgan Moses moves from right tackle to left tackle once Trent Williams moved on. Now, either Morgan can stay at left tackle and then they can plug Sam Cosmi in at right, or they can move Morgan back to right tackle and plug in Sam Cosmi at the left. I think Cosmi offers you versatility to play on either side. Some people were giving him first round grades. So for Washington to get him in the second round, I think that's a great pick. He adds solid, dependable, consistent offensive line play. Is he going to wow you with his athleticism like a Christian Darrisaw or a Rashawn Slater? No, he's not going to do that. But he's consistent. He's polished. I believe he was a 4-year starter at Texas. So he's coming in with the pedigree of being one of the top offensive linemen in college football. And I think he's going to continue to bring that to the NFL ranks. 2 third-round picks here. Love both of them. Benjamin St. Juste, cornerback out of Minnesota. He was the top-rated corner at the Senior Bowl. He really went into that week with a mission, and he showed out at the Senior Bowl. And I think that helped his draft stock increase And I think he goes to a defense now that allows him to play freely. When you have Montez Sweat and when you have Chase Young going after the quarterback, you're probably not going to have to cover for long. And now you add a guy like Jamin Davis at your linebacker core to man that middle. And now you don't have to worry about the quick hitters over the middle because he's going to be there. He's going to be an option that can kind of take those away. So as a corner, you know, if the ball's not out of this quarterback's hands in 4 to 5 seconds, and maybe that might be too long, then I know I'm going to have a good shot in coverage, and I'm going to have a good shot if he does get the ball off to intercept it and get the ball back for my offense. So I think this is a great landing spot for Benjamin St-Juste. Awesome addition to the defense. Washington adds more wide receiver talent, selecting De'Ami Brown with their third round pick out of North Carolina. Then in the 4th round, we go John Bates, tight end out of Boise State. 5th round, Derek Forrest, safety out of Cincinnati. 6th round, Cameron Cheeseman, long snapper out of Michigan. And then 3 7th round picks. Okay. William Bradley King, defensive end out of Baylor. Shaka Toney, defensive end out of Penn State. And then Dax Milne, wide receiver out of BYU. So let's go over some of these late round picks. Not a fan of the John Bates pick. I'll be perfectly honest. I think he can offer you some ability as a receiver. I think he's going to be more of a blocking type of tight end to help in the running game. And that's not a bad thing. But I think you want to have, in this day and age in the NFL, I think you want to have both. You want to have a Travis Kelce. You want to have a George Kittle, someone that can block, but then also is a viable threat in the pass game. Derek Forrest, I like as a safety. I think he can come in and give you rotational snaps in that secondary, and he's definitely going to provide depth on special teams. The Cameron Cheeseman, long snapper in the 6th round. This is no disrespect to long snappers because they are important to the game as well. But do you need to draft him in the 6th round? I think you may have been able to get him in the 7th round, or you may have been able to get him as an undrafted free agent. Now, if you don't want to take the chance of him going into undrafted free agency and then choosing where he wants to go, then I think with 3 7th round picks, I think you could have taken him with one of those and not taken him as high as you did. But they did, and that's what it is. With the first 2 7th round picks, they go back-to-back defensive end. William Bradley King of Delaware. That one's up and down for me. I'll be perfectly honest. I didn't like what I saw from him on tape. Very inconsistent, very up and down. But they kind of redeemed themselves with the second one in Shaka Toney. Now, I do like what I saw from Shaka Toney. Now, I think Shaka Toney needs to work on also his consistency, but his traits as a pass rusher, I like more. And I think with his size and build, he can offer you versatility. Instead of being a defensive end with his hand in the dirt, he can stand up and play outside linebacker for you. So if they want to have him in an outside linebacker role, which I don't see unless they run some type of hybrid style defense, because I think their base is a 4-3, not a 3-4. But again, if you want to stand Shaka up and kind of give the offense a different look, he has that versatility. But I think of the two, Shaka Toney is going to, be a better rotational pass rusher than William Bradley King. And then the last pick, wide receiver Dax Milne. I think Dax got a lot of love. And he got a lot of eyes because of Zach Wilson. He was Zach Wilson's top target at BYU. So when you put on the tape of Zach Wilson, you couldn't help but see Dax Milne. I don't see him sticking around with the wide receiver talent that they already have in Washington. I find it hard for him to crack that 6 or 7 man wide receiver room, making that final roster. But they had to make a pick in the later rounds. So that was it. But based off of all of that, love Jamin Davis, love Sam Cosmi, love Benjamin St-Juste, love De'Ami Brown, love Shaka Toney. I think this is a solid draft for the Washington football team. And my grade for the Washington football team is going to be a B+. I think they attacked areas of need, especially with the first 2 picks, linebacker, offensive line. And then they got solid rotational role players, Benjamin St-Juste, De'Ami Brown, Shaka Toney, Derek Forrest. This draft is a B+ for me. Moving on to the New York Football Giants. We talked about it. Eagles being super petty, jumping the Giants, making a move with the enemy, Cowboys, just to make sure New York didn't get Devontae Smith. So when that happened, that changed their whole philosophy. Now, if I was the Giants and I'm being petty, like the Eagles were being petty, I'm going to stay right where I'm at. Okay? And instead of letting the Cowboys get Micah Parsons, I'm taking Micah Parsons. I think the Giants could have used an upgrade at the linebacker position. Micah Parsons, best linebacker in the draft. He fell to you. I say stay put, take the best player on the board, take Micah Parsons, and throw the Cowboys' plans off. But they didn't do that. They got a deal that they could not refuse from Chicago, who was desperate. Let's be real. Ryan Pace, Matt Nagy, up there in Chicago. That's the Windy City. Well, they felt the wind on them seats. They had to do something. So they made the move up. Justin Fields was still on the board. The Giants' number 1 option wasn't there. So the Giants decided to move back. A lot of Giants fans were confused. They were like, why would you move all the way back to 20? And I think they were confused by the move, but they understood it because you get draft capital. But then the selection came in, and it was Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. And a lot of Giants fans are scratching their head like, what? Who? Why? And I understand it. Some draft analysts were giving Kadarius Toney first-round grades. Others are giving him second-round grades. So if you're not familiar with who Kadarius Toney is, if you haven't put on his film, if you haven't watched the tape, if you hadn't heard his name before draft day, then you might think that's a reach. But I think with where he was getting slated in the first round by some draft analysts, and the fact that the Giants did trade back from 11 to 20, picking up additional assets, draft capital, and still being able to get a dynamic player like Kadarius Toney, I think that's a win. It was a head scratcher for a lot of people, but I think that's still a win. Kadarius Toney is a dynamic weapon. And a lot of people are saying, well, you got to have a good quarterback to get the best proper usage out of him, which I agree. But I think there are so many weapons now in New York that Kadarius Toney has no option but to shine. With all the wide receiver talent around him, you can't double team one guy because John Ross is going to be left open. And if he stays healthy, we know he's a burner. Sterling Sharp is going to be left open. Steve Slayton is going to be left open. Now Kadarius Toney is going to be left open. Kadarius Toney is a football player. He's an all-around wide receiver. He can do it all. He can catch. He's a great route runner. He's good after the catch. He doesn't go down after the first hit. He can run the ball, so you can see him in the backfield, use him on motions and jet sweeps and things of that nature. So he's definitely a weapon. We got Saquon coming back. We got Evan Ingram at tight end. So the Giants got a lot of weapons. So I think this is another weapon to add, especially with all the injuries, those offensive weapons suffered last year. The Giants didn't want to go into this year with those same issues, with those same guys going down and not having enough pieces to compete. But I think the second round pick made up for it. Second round pick, the Giants get Azeez Ojulari, linebacker out of Georgia. I think this is an amazing pick. Azeez Ojulari had first round grades. He only fell to the second round due to injury concerns. I don't think the injury concerns are as serious as his draft slide would imply. So I think this is an awesome pick. You get a first round talent in the second round, and you needed help in the pass rush. You needed somebody opposite Leonard Williams who can go get the quarterback. Azeez Ojulari is that guy. He can stand up. He can put his hand in the dirt. And I think Giants fans will see that versatility all through the 2021 season. Third round pick, they get another first round caliber talent in Aaron Robinson. Most draft analysts, even myself, had Aaron Robinson in the top 5, top 6 in, the cornerback rankings. He kind of got bumped up a little bit because of the Caleb Farley injury news and him sliding a little bit. Aaron Robinson was being mocked in the first round in 85-90% of the mock drafts leading up to the draft. He slid for some reason. Injury concerns, maybe a little bit of off the field, but the Giants get a first round caliber talent in the third round. I think that was a great pick. Ellerson Smith, linebacker out of Northern Iowa, was the fourth round pick. Not too high on that one. I'll be perfectly honest with you. No fifth round pick. 2 6th round picks, no 7th. So with the first 6th round pick, they take Gary Brightwell, running back out of Arizona. And then with the second of 2 6th round picks, they take cornerback Rodarius Williams out of Oklahoma State. Not a fan of the Ellerson Smith pick. I'll be perfectly honest. I think he's, I don't want to say he's a bit small because most of the newer style linebackers in the league are a little bit on the smaller side, whether it be in height or whether it be in weight. A lot of these guys are getting smaller, lighter, but it's allowing them to be faster. They can run sideline to sideline. They can cover tight ends. You might see some of them lined up in the slot. They can cover running backs out of the backfield. They can drop into coverage. I don't see that as being Ellerson Smith's strength. I think he definitely needs to improve in his pass coverage. And I think he needs to improve on diagnosing of plays based on what I saw on tape. If he can improve that, then, I'll walk those comments back and give him, props where due. But he's definitely a project. And the Giants are going to have to really work with him to get him up to speed. I think Gary Brightwell is just another body in the running back room. They lost Wayne Gallman. So you can probably see him coming in that maybe on third or fourth on the depth chart. Will he make the roster? That's yet to be seen. I do like the Rodarius Williams pick based on the tape that I watched. I love his athleticism. I love his footwork. I love his tenacity and the way he plays the game. He's feisty. He fights. He's a battler. So I think he went to the perfect team for him. He does have some things that he needs to work on. Sometimes he can be a little grabby. Sometimes he can rely too much on his instincts and his ability to make a play that he might jump a play or he might guess incorrectly and get himself out of position. So he does need to work on those things. That's why he was a 6th round pick. But I think if he can work on those things, that'll bode well for himself and for the Giants. So for this particular draft, with everything considered, grabbing Azeez Ojulari in the second, grabbing Aaron Robinson in the third, and getting a guy like Kadarius Toney, who's an offensive weapon, I give the Giants a B+ for this draft. Trading back, getting that extra draft capital, getting another first-round pick next year, and all the other pieces that they got, still being able to get Toney and Azeez Ojulari. This is a solid draft for me. I give it a B+ as a grade. Last team in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. Now I'm gonna just run through these because it's a lot of them, okay? But I think Dallas did very well. First round pick, we already talked about it. At 12, they take Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. Second round pick, they take cornerback Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky. They have 3 third-round picks. First is Osa Odigizua, defensive tackle out of UCLA. Second is Chauncey Golson, defensive end out of Iowa. Third is Nashawn Wright, cornerback out of Oregon State. We had 2 fourth-round picks in Dallas. First being Jabril Cox, linebacker out of LSU. Second being Josh Ball, offensive tackle out of Marshall. 1 fifth-round pick being wide receiver Simi Fehoko out of Stanford. 2 sixth-round picks, Quentin Bohannon, defensive tackle out of Kentucky, and Israel Mukuamu, corner out of South Carolina. And 1 seventh-round pick, Matt Faranoik, guard out of Nebraska. Now let's talk about what Dallas did, because Dallas did something that I didn't think Dallas was going to do, and that is stick to what you need. Stick to what you need. Everybody knows Dallas' problem last year, outside of Dak Prescott having a season-ending injury, was they couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't stop anything. Nothing at all. Defense was atrocious. Yeah, you putting up 40 points, but you're giving up 50. So Dallas attacked defense. First with Micah Parsons. You get the best linebacker in the draft. Come in, day one starter, immediately transforms your defense. I think corner was the biggest need, especially after letting go of Byron Jones and not re-signing him to a long-term contract. You get a corner in Kelvin Joseph, who's long, rangy, is a good press man corner. He has some skills that he needs to work on, but he has potential. Ceiling is very high. They add more pieces on that defensive line to make sure that rotation is fresh. Odigizua is going to immediately come in and compete for that second or third spot at the defensive tackle position. Chauncey Golson figures right into that rotational pass rush from a defensive end standpoint. Get another cornerback in Nashawn Wright out of Oregon State. Great pick. Another young corner, come in and compete. Provide you depth. He's probably going to try to battle for that nickel spot, maybe that 4th cornerback on the depth chart. But another solid pick. Another great pick for me is Jabril Cox in the 4th round. I think he could have gone as high as the 2nd round. A lot of people had him going in the 3rd. Jabril Cox falls to the 4th round. This is an amazing pick for the Cowboys. When I saw his name come across the screen, I was like, oh no. Not Dallas getting Jabril Cox. I think this is an underrated draft pick of this entire division, the most underrated within this division. Jabril Cox is going to offer you the ability to cover tight ends from the linebacker spot without having to drop a safety down or sacrifice a corner. His coverage skills are amazing for a linebacker. Now, obviously, he needs, to work on his run defense. Again, he's one of those smaller linebackers where he's not an old school thumper, and he's going to provide you, a tackling machine as far as the running game. But he offers you that sideline to sideline ability. He's offered you ability to, like I said, cover tight ends over the seams and down the middle. He can even cover running backs out of the backfield. He's very athletic, very rangy. I think this linebacker core now of Jalen Smith, Micah Parsons, and Jabril Cox, bro, that's a solid linebacker core. I'm not even gonna hold you. That's solid. Josh Ball, backup, rotational offensive lineman. They had some injuries along that offensive line. They need that. Simi Fehoko, wide receiver. They don't need wide receivers, but they don't have a top tier tight end. So I think what you can see Simi Fehoko doing is not playing tight end, but at 6'4", 225, I see him figuring a lot in a tight end role. meaning he's your big body guy on third down when you need to move the chains. He's one of your go-tos in the red zone if you just need to throw it up and have him box out a smaller defender. I think you can see him in that kind of role, used sparingly because they have wide receiver weapons, you know. So he's not going to figure to, you know, crack the top 3, but I think he offers you a big body on third downs when you need to move the chains and in the red zone. And then of the final 3 picks, Israel Mukuamu, 6'4" corner. Again, somebody that's long and rangy. You could probably see him maybe shifting to a safety role with that 6'4" size, maybe playing free safety. But I think he provides you depth and competition in that room. Because Dallas was able to stick to the plan and focus on their needs. Of the picks, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Of the 11 picks, 2 were offense, and the 2 offensive picks were on the offensive line. They didn't get a wide receiver. They didn't get a running back. They got offensive line, and everybody else was defense. Because just for the simple fact that they stuck to what they needed, got better, added pieces for depth, Dallas Cowboys get a B+ for me. So that's going to wrap up the NFC East edition of Professor Mose and draft grades. Again, we'll go through this again. Eagles, you got a C, pulling up the rear in the division. Washington football team, you get a B+. Love what you did with Jamin Davis, Sam Cosmi, De'Ami Brown. Love it. Giants, you get a B. Traded back, wasn't really well received. Still got a solid player in Kadarius Toney. Was able to get Azeez Ojulari in the second round, first round caliber talent. That's a B for me. Dallas Cowboys, best linebacker in the draft. Stuck with what you needed. Improved on defense just by adding so many pieces that can either provide instant contribution or be a rotational piece and provide depth. B+ for the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Draft 2021 NFL Draft Grades with Mose Knows. I greatly appreciate your time. You can interact with me in the comments of this video. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my grades? Do you disagree? Let's talk about it in the comments section. You can also connect with me on all my social media platforms. I will have them linked in the description below. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. When I do live streams and I have guests and I'm doing interviews, it'll be on YouTube, but we're also streaming on Twitch. That link is in the description below. Give me a follow over there as well. And if you want to check out more content at Mose Knows, or if you want to check out the AFC East edition of Professor Mose NFL Draft Grades, you can click that link. That video will be right there. Yep, there it is. Just click on that, hop over to that video, check out my grades for the AFC East, hit the like, subscribe, take another 2 seconds, hit the bell icon so you get notified when new content drops right here at Mose Knows. And guess what? I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.